Am Negan.
I am Negan.
I am Negan.
Welcome, everyone, to the first episode of I Am Negan, a Walking Dead universe podcast. Some people may be saying, wow, why are they doing one now? You know, this show has been going on for, almost 10 years, right? Maybe even longer than that. I think it is already at this point. Well, there's plenty of content going on. We still have the season finale. We still have Fear. We now have World Beyond. We have a movie. We have the Negan Lives comic, if that keeps going. But we do have an issue 1. There's still a lot going on in this universe. We're still discussing it. Earlier in this part of the season 10, we covered some of the episodes over at the Koalition, that is with a K, thekoalition.com, and we received a great response. A lot of people were into it, and the feedback was pretty much what we were talking about right before the show started, is that a lot of people were just wondering what is going on with this franchise, and they've noticed not a lot of people talking about it like they used to, but there is a large following still, and we're some of those members, and we are Negan. We're a part of that group. So that's what this show is about. We cover everything Walking Dead. And my name is Adam Vale. I am the host. I am joined by Dana Abercrombie. Say what's up.
What's up?
Here we go. We got Richard Bailey Jr.
What's up, listeners and viewers?
And we got the one and only Carlos from Throwdown.
Yo, yo, yo. What is going on? What is going on?
All right, people. This is it. This is what we've been waiting for. Everything got put on hold because of COVID. We didn't get this when it was supposed to air, but here it is. This is season 10, episode 16, the finale. We have made it. There's a lot to talk about with this one, and that's what we're going to get into. All the side chatter, no side chatter. We're going right into it.
Mm-hmm.
We were left off from the last episode 15, where we had Gabriel and the rest of the Alexandria crew with Lydia and Negan and Luke and everybody else besides some of the other main ones, which we'll get into. They're all within the hospital. You got the swarms with the Whisperers, Beta, all of them in the crowd. This is it. That scene looked very dire at the end of episode 15. I was like, this is it, right? There's no way out. When I saw that scene, the first thing that popped up in my head, I was thinking of, if I remember, I think it was like season 2 when they were at the prison. That prison scene with the governor. When the governor showed up. And that's what I picked up. I'm like, all right, well, if we're going based off of something like that, then there's going to be a back door. There's going to be another back way to get out. And there should be. In a big facility like this, there has to be another entrance. You can't just rely on the front. But regardless, right? So it starts off, they're in the hospital, and now they're trying to come up with the plan. We also see through that side door, and this was something that they showed during Talking Dead as a little teaser for this episode. That was the one with, you'll see Carol and Daryl. They find their way in. So now they're part of the group. Now everybody's there. Now they have to come up with a strategy. And this is also a key moment, which I'm going to bring it to the panel on this one, how they felt about this. Because I felt maybe too soon, but it's a part where Lydia sees Carol and they have this emotional moment where it's like, I forgive you for killing my mom. And it's a weird type of time to connect on that. And I get it. It's Lydia has baggage with her mom, Alpha. There was a lot of issues there. But I don't know. It was something about that moment. What did you guys think?
It's weird because they seem to be setting them up, both Carol and Lydia, like pretty well. It's like they've been having a lot of conversations throughout the whole, ordeal, even before the previous episode. But during this episode, everything, I don't know, it just seemed kind of forced to me.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It felt like, well, why are you putting this now? And everything seemed too clean. Almost like, oh, no, everything is fine. Let's hug. We're cool now. Thank you. Everything's good. Let's move on. We're going to be happy. I was like, this is a trap, right? Something didn't seem right with that. But what about Dana and Rich? You were cool with this emotional moment that they were presenting?
Let me just start by saying the reason why they were so quick to have that interaction is because we saw in the previous episode Lydia had her time with Negan. in her emotional breakdown with him. So we already know that when they killed off Alpha, it was because Negan and Carol had came up with this plan. So I figured they were going to have to tie up that loose end just so they could move on from this whole thing of her having conflict with Carol. So yeah, I do agree it was a bit forced, but I figured they had to do that because, again, they already had it with Negan in the previous episode, so it made sense to move the storyline forward.
Yeah, and it's not the only one that we saw from this, because then Lydia has the same type of interaction with Negan. With the whole thing about, oh, going to be a hero, and this and that. Like, no, I'm not going to go with that, and that's not me. It's like, oh, it could be you, and it's like, all right.
Well, yeah.
There was a lot of that.
That definitely was also forced, for sure, because they had just reconciled in the previous episode, but to be that cool all of a sudden it's kind of quick.
All right, so while that's happening, we get another cut. Now this does us with the other group, which is Eugene, Yumika, Princess, and Ezekiel, and they're doing the trip over to the Commonwealth. Right, they're going to meet the contact that Eugene has been interacting with over the radio, and they're having their own little adventures on this. And this is also weird, where Eugene then has this little nervous breakdown. It's like, I want to go back. I didn't understand that point. I guess they didn't really know where to go with it, so they were like,
well, right. his bike broke down.
Yeah, but still, they were all together. They're this far in. You know what I mean? It's like, I get it. You're on the bike breaks down, but you've already made it this far. Can you imagine taking that whole trip back, going through the minefield? If you guys remember from 15, there was that weird minefield that they had to go through. That was very out of place. Whatever, it was there. There's a minefield in town.
It's just, it was kind of all jarring, though, like all of those situations, because it seemed like really forced. I don't know if there was an issue with the way we saw the episode. I don't know if something was cut out, but even a lot of the scenes, there was a lot of like they showed Maggie, they showed all of the people.
Oh yeah, and after we'll just split that in right here, because there was no dialogue in that. We get this cut of Maggie, and she's looking at a map, and then she's with the ninja. That's what I'm gonna call him. Yeah, and that's it. And so, okay, thanks. That's great. We see that she's here. All right, that's cool. All right, keep going, Carlos.
Yeah, so it's like there's a lot. They pretty much show every character that's within contract, and it's like, okay, let's show everybody at the beginning. Like somehow we never, we didn't get context to like Maggie was coming, so they just showed it right away. They showed, Ezekiel's crew. They showed, the Whisperers, everyone. Like they're just showing everyone. And then when we got back to Ezekiel and Eugene, it's like they didn't really, and maybe I missed something, but they didn't give us context. They just showed them with a bike broken down and Eugene in the ground bleeding and crying, and I'm like, so why do you were so upbeat like 2 seconds ago? I mean, 2 seconds ago is the last episode.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I'm saying. That's why it didn't really make much sense. More like they was like, well, we need to throw an additional scene with this group. Right, they're not going to have any conflicts and any other interactions here. So how do we still put them into this episode besides what happens toward the end of this episode? And
I think the main reason for that is for Ezekiel, because Ezekiel kind of had like a moment.
Yeah, he did. He had his moment giving his speech about, this is it. This is what we got to do. And remember, for those who don't remember, he has cancer. Yeah. So that was discovered in the previous episode. He has cancer. He's sick. So this is it. This is all or nothing. There is no going back. It's only going forward.
So pretty much that speech is sort of similar to the speech he would give himself to keep going.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Despite the fact that he has cancer. Yep.
Yeah, that's exactly how I read it too.
All right. And then during the same little part, like you said, they're showing all the cast of characters and where they are. They have to show us Beta and the Whispers. And where are they? They're in this massive horde. I love the whole CG, the whole process of the way they put this together, because it looked massive. I've never seen a horde like that besides, I think, the one episode where Alpha was showing Rick. I think it was Rick she was Maybe it was Rick, or was it? Yeah, I think it was Rick. Where he was like, "Oh, look at what I have here," and it was like a massive horde. But anyway, it was massive, and he's telling the Whispers in his own little way, "We have to destroy all of them. We're gonna destroy." He's out for blood. He wants to kill them all. That's his goal. So then we get the other cut. Now, this is where Carol and Daryl is with the group in the hospital, and they're like coming up with a plan, and the plan seems they have to just walk right through. They have to put on their hoodies that have all the guts and stuff on them, so that way they could blend in with the dead and just take their chances. But they know the Whispers are among the dead that are there, so they have another plan, and that's to have cover fire, right? That's what we had just talked. Was it you said the two people? It was like Dana. What was it? Was it Dana? Rich?
Which two people you said?
Two people with
Repeat
the
that?
arrows. The arrows, the two people that were providing cover fire. Well,
I only know of Diane.
That's it. I knew it was Diane. Diane. It was Dana. Diane. There you go, Diane. So that's the plan. You have cover fire. Watch them pretty much overhead just to see if they can notice any little nicks or anything that just stands out regarding the walkers that are heading toward them, to see if they approach them, because then they would know, all right, that's a Whisper. And I'm sure also if a zombie gets too close or something, but I think it was really for the Whispers because they knew.
So what did you guys get as sort of Beta's strategy in all of this? Because Beta was just, giving people orders, to get the herd ready. And then there was like also a contingency at the door, and he was just chilling there. So I'm wondering what was his big plan? Like,
that's a good question. I think he was hoping that it would just, all the zombies would just like bum rush and just break through, and then they would just flood in as well, and then just pick them off. Because he didn't seem too concerned about a particular character that he wanted to go after. Like, I gotta get Daryl, or I gotta get Negan. It was none of that. It was like he wanted them all dead. He didn't care.
Or I gotta get my guitar.
I gotta get my guitar. Yeah, that's a whole other thing, right? So I think, that was the other part. It's like, all right, well, what do you want to do with this? What's your end goal? So
that was my biggest issue. Well, not the biggest. That was one of my issues with the whole thing. It's like you have this powerful, I don't know, being, this herd of thousands upon thousands upon thousands of walkers, but there's no plan. There wasn't really relayed to us. It's just like, get them all, we're going into this thing, and that's it. So it didn't seem, and maybe the point of it was for them to look sort of bad, but this was, I'm just looking at it, without rooting for one team or the other. I'm like, yo, you guys are ruining this. This is a bad plan. Beta, what? There's a reason why you'll never be alpha, because this is pretty bad.
Exactly. Hey, so I want to ask a quick question, and after I ask this question, you need to go to Dana, because I want to hear what her thoughts are as well. Comparing this to what actually happened in the comic, was this a more satisfying way that they handled this whole encounter, or did they do it better in the comic? Because as I recall, we had this discussion before. There was a very graphic death scene for Gabriel.
There was a lot more in the comic. It was dragged out, of course, through a bunch of episodes, but there was a lot more that happened in the comic, especially during this battle, because this battle took, if I remember, it's like 3 episodes, 3 issues, I should say, of the comic. 3 issues. It was massive. This was a massive battle, and it took place in different parts. It wasn't just at this location. It was another one. There was another key character that ended up dying, trying to save Eugene. It was sad. There was a lot going on here. But then also remember, in the comic, Rick is still part of the group. So there's also a Rick and Negan bonding moment that takes place. But that's not happening here. Here we have replacing Rick is Daryl. So it's Negan and Daryl getting their bonding moment. Right.
Oh, they bonded.
Yeah, they definitely bonded. They bonded a little bit. We saw from the episode 15, issue 15 or episode. See, I'm not really mixing them up. And now we get it over here. So now the point also for them, not just to get out, is that they set up, I want to call the party wagon. That's with the boombox and the music. And their plan because they were like, well, we're going to get to this wagon, we're going to turn on the music, and we're going to lure the horde over to a cliffside. Which I don't know where the hell this cliffside is in that area, but there was a massive cliffside, and that's it. Right. And then we just fall over the side of the cliff. That was the plan. So we have Gabriel and some of the other adults taking care of the kids, and they're like, all right, we'll stay here. You guys make a run for it, or well, not make a run, but try to get through the horde, get to that point, and then hopefully they can get out of the situation. So they start heading through. We got Luke, we got Carol, we got Daryl, we have a few other the members. They're getting through. Something happens. One of the members of the group, one of the lesser members, I think we talked about it. It's not one of the key characters. Bumps into one of the whisperers. One of the dead. They eat her, right? It's gone. That's one. Then there was another one who had an interaction with a whisperer. Notice the whisperer, there's an interaction. Then the whisperer also got eaten on that one. At this time, Beta noticed something's going on. Right, he's hearing a lot of commotions. He's trying to rally up some of the other ones. He's starting to put two and two together because there shouldn't be all this commotion going on within the horde unless they're feeding and they're having some interactions with humans, and then that's what's going on. So now he's trying to move the horde. So he's like, come on, we got to move the horde. We got to move. So he's turning away, which is good, right? That's what they wanted. Gabriel and them, they're like, all right, well, not so much good for the group that's going through, but good for Gabriel and the kids and everyone there. Right, so another key moment, and this is very telling, but you know what? I guess we would all do the same with when one of the members of the group also gets attacked and it's getting eaten by the horde, and she starts screaming for Carol, and then you see Carol's face, and she just like sort of cringes, and she's like, I'm just gonna keep walking, and keeps walking straight, and already Daryl and Luke, they're all walking through, they're like, yeah, we just gotta keep going. But what did you guys think of that scene? I mean, I thought it was kind of intense. It was kind of cool. The first time they showed it, the first time we've seen that when they did that, where they had to put the guts and walk through, that was also pretty intense. So I think this also provided that same feeling. Did you guys enjoy that? Dana, did you enjoy this?
Oh yeah, I can talk. I felt that this was one of the most.
Oh, Dana, you're real low. You're real low.
Oh,
Maybe too far back.
Too far back. Okay, so I thought this was one of the most anxiety-written scenes, where everything is the fact that you're just stuck in this massive horde, and at any moment if anything went wrong, they could literally all just swarm you, and you can't fight them off. That right there was terrifying, and I think they did a really great job. And remember when I think it was Beta, was like tighten up, and everyone, they started growing in closer. That right there was great. Carol sucks, and I understand why she did what she did, but my God, that was just so sad and awful. But it just kind of shows you that you have to you're fighting for your own survival, and in order to do that, some people may die for you to live, and that was horrifying. But still, yeesh.
The only issue I had with this, and I've had it for a long time, is that no one's wearing face covering masks. Think how bad that shit smells.
Oh yeah,
there are dead bodies. These are dead bodies walking around.
Yeah.
It must smell horrid.
But here's what I felt, that because this is not something that's brand new, that how you, after a while, if you live in your own filth,
you get used
you
to
can't
it.
you get used to it. It's a Febreze commercial.
But still, they should at least acknowledge it. I want to see somebody gag or something. But
well, maybe that's in another show.
Maybe.
Huh.
Oh yeah, maybe you're right. The kids.
Always right.
Kids.
Yep. There you go.
All right. All right, so what are we up to now? So,
and one more
keep
thing.
going.
The reason why it kind of felt disjointed and certain things wasn't fully matching up, you have to remember they shut down production in March. And it's not just, they filmed everything. They have different special effects teams and different writers and producers spread out throughout the whole, it's not just America. They're in different countries. And so they couldn't get the scenes that they had, but they couldn't finish them. So that's why it's a little funky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could understand that, and that's fine. That's fine. I'm just glad we got it. But there was just some little parts in there that we just had questions. So we get the members of the group. They finally make it out. And then they get over to the party wagon and they turn on the boombox, which is playing which will it oh man, where am I? They play on the Talking Heads track. Oh man, I'm blanking on the name of the song.
Yeah, I forgot the name of the song.
Down the down the house.
It's irrelevant.
Yeah, well they're playing a Talking. This sucks because oh man, hold on. I Burning Down the House by Talking Heads. Burning down the house. Right, so they're playing that, very fitting, right? Beta's freaking out now because now he's like, all right, something's up because this is obviously luring the herd. It's just luring the herd.
And it was also his competition back in the day.
Yeah, it's competition. There you go. But I think it's a combination of things because at first I was like, what does he give a shit? Then just keep going straight. But then I'm thinking, well, if let's say the herd followed the music, the ones that don't are clearly the Whisperers. And whoever was picking them off from the arrows then knows where the Whisperers are. Because it's like, all right, well, the herd are following the sound, but we see like 5 or 6 over here that are just still coming over toward the hospital. So let's kill those guys off. So now he's trying to figure it out. But that's when we cut over to the scene where they're in the party wagon playing the music. And then you see some of the Whisperers coming and they're still trying to fight those guys off. And then the herd is coming and eventually they get overwhelmed and they have to run off. And the Whisperers jump on top and just start smashing the boombox and going down that road. All right. So what did you guys think of that whole thing of using the party wagon? And the only issue, and I'll just get my part out of the way, Beta and them didn't see this on the road because it was clearly out in the open. That was the one thing that I noticed. It was like, oh, it wasn't even hidden. I don't know why in my mind I thought it was like hidden somewhere under like brush or something. It wasn't. It was just parked on the road. So I don't know. Did you guys think this was a cool way of luring them to get out of this?
Okay, I'll go real quick. I'll just say, I mean, I will say, yes, they had to explain how they were going to lure the herd away. I'm glad, however, that they had issues with that whole process, and it wasn't a complete success because you saw when it got to the nighttime, they eventually, some of those Whisperers did get close to the vehicle, and they tore it apart towards the end. So it wasn't like they successfully got fully to where they needed to be at. They got a little bit scattered. So I'm glad that they showed that they still struggled to make this plan work, because it would have just. The one thing that I will say, when you mentioned earlier about you see this massive herd, I'm thinking to myself, how the hell are they going to get out of this? And the whole time it would seem unrealistic if nothing happens, if nobody gets killed. Although I would say, yeah, there probably should have been some bigger deaths that did happen. It would just be completely unrealistic if that was to really happen. But yeah, I mean, I was okay with this solution. The only thing I did think was comical is that the same song will be playing all the way into the night, unless they just had it on complete on loop.
Yeah. Well, that's man. That's the other one.
But that's all I had to say.
All right. So this is so this part was okay. I was like, all right, whatever. It's the part that after this that sort of threw me off, and it's when they regroup. Now it's Daryl and Carol and Luke and a few other members, and they regroup. And they were like, I think it was Daryl that came up with that. He was like, we have to go back. It's like, what do you mean we gotta go back? There's too many Whisperers there. We have to go back. We have to kill them all off, because if not, they're going to eventually get to everyone else that's in the hospital. So we have to this is it. This is our stand. If it happens, some of us may not get out of this, but we got to do this. And so then they decide to go back. And the only issue that I had here is that pretty much should have been the plan then. To think about, if you already have the guts covered on you, right? Just wander around, just sneak around, walk through, and just see which ones sort of stand out, and so start stabbing people. That's it. If you see someone like, oh, I think that could be a Whisper, and then just keep moving, real silent. But now that you have this whole chaos, this commotion, all this stuff going on, it gets things complicated. And then for him to say, all right, now let's go back into that, while we have all this horde heading over to us because of the boombox situation. I don't know. That felt out of place also, that planning right there. Oh, and I just realized I failed to mention one thing, just so anyone was wondering. Negan had walked out of the group after he had a conversation with Lydia. right, talking about being a hero and the whole thing, and he put on his mask and he left. So he's not part of this group, but he is out there. So that's another part to remember. All right, what were you gonna say, Rich?
Let me just say real quick. I also agree with your criticism of this particular issue, and that goes back to the funny thing I think is, even after they came up with that plan and decided we'll just go back and kill the Whisperers, it's like, Beta saw this happening and there was still no response. So this goes back to what Carlos said earlier, where you asked what was his initial plan when he decided to come to exactly where they was at. And yeah, maybe he just figured that they were going to eventually get into the facility and they were going to get their hands on everybody. But yeah, he definitely should have thought this through, as opposed to just have the whole herd show up there only so that they still have no plan and they still get killed in the process.
Well, especially Beta, because he was the one when Alpha was still alive. He was the one that was kind of like the voice of reason. He was the one telling Alpha, "Hey, you're messing up here."
Mm-hmm.
So when he was in charge, it's like it didn't get any much better. I think it actually got worse. Because Alpha did do damage. Beta didn't really. They killed 2 people.
Yeah, that's it.
No, they killed 3. My bad.
Dana, were you cool with this plan? Did this make sense when you heard it?
Not particularly at first. Not really.
No.
I was slightly no, not really. It just didn't make any sense, and I kind of felt that writing wise, it was just something to get us to the next point.
Yeah.
In the script.
And some people, if they're like, oh, well, what would you have done? Well, this is in my mind. This is what I was thinking. All right, so you have Gabriel stay in the hospital, hold down the fort. We have this crew that comes out, but we split up in 2 parts. One group head over toward the party wagon to turn on the music. Another group, get your blades out and just wander around and just, walk like a zombie, act like a zombie. Just observe and see if you notice any of these whispers and try to pick them off. Because once that music plays, as we see here, even though all this is happening, there are still a good number of the whispers that still are storming the hospital. Because that leads to the next part. So that's what I would have done. What? Yeah, Rich?
Yeah, let me just say this real quick. It's so funny that you mentioned what their plan was, because that is exactly what the other whisperers were doing, walking around with knives, and then when they saw someone, wait a second, that looks like one of our enemies, go try to stab the person. So, but yeah, that's funny. But no, continue.
Yeah. All right. So then this is, and I have this in my notes listed as unbelievable. This really, that's it. Quote Biggie on this one, because this I paused it when I watched. I had to pause. I was like, all right, and this is the part where Gabriel. You have some of the whispers. They're banging down on that door, and they're about to break through. And Gabriel gives a speech to Judith. He's like, "Don't worry about it. You guys go." They head down to their escape hatch to get to wherever they have to go. We don't see where they go. They obviously leave, but he's there with a shotgun. He's like, "All right, this is it. I got this." Guy whisper number 1 comes in. Boom! He takes a shot. He's down. But everyone keeps coming in. They attack him. They bring him down to the ground. It looks like they're about to finish him off, and then we get Ninja. Ninja shows up, and no, I'm not talking about the one from the game of Fortnite Ninja. I'm talking about this fucking Snake Eyes looking guy that shows up that's walking with Maggie. Both of them show up. Maggie's there with the ninja chopping everybody up, right? And then he looked like he was about to put an end to Gabriel as well. And Maggie was like, no, I know him. I know. Well, I would think so, because you were en route to this to the hospital for a reason, right? But it was so weird, that whole moment. It's like, it's unbelievable, the timing. Like, all right, so you didn't hear the music outside, you didn't see the commotion outside. I would think if you were en route and you heard the music of burning down the house and all that, obviously those are your people and they're trying to lure the herd away. They need help. Something's going on. I don't know. I would have, if I was Maggie in that situation, I would have gone closer to that. I was like, well, maybe they need my help. They're doing something there. But no, she heads toward the hospital. Perfect timing. They save Gabriel. They embrace. And that's it. So what did you guys think of that whole little segment there of how they reintroduce and bring back Maggie into the story and into the brand?
I thought that if you would see a massive horde and see a building and kind of know where your people would be at, that you would probably go into the building as well. No?
Yes, but remember, at this point, the music was already playing. So then you would think that maybe that they were in a wagon or some kind of vehicle luring them away. Like I think Luke had called it the Pied Piper situation. It was like, yeah, we're just going to go plates. So then maybe this is what I'm thinking. Oh, they got out. My people got out and they're in a wagon. And they've figured out a way to lure the horde away. So let me go help them out. Why am I going to keep going? They probably all got out.
Or you could easily say they're using that as a diversion. They could have easily had the boombox, had the horses, and the horses could have just been taking off galloping.
Okay. All right. Then answer this one. She didn't have any of the gut stuff. I couldn't tell if Ninja had any gut stuff on him.
He had Ninja. You don't need any guts when you got Ninja running around.
I guess. I don't know. What did you guys think of that whole little moment there? I don't know. It was crazy. And if people, if they haven't seen it, if you're watching this spoiler review, then sorry, you guys need to see it, because literally the dude was acting like a ninja. Like, it's just his stance and the way he was just chopping these people, sort of like the way Michonne, when she had her katana and how she was putting people down, well, zombies.
She killed the kids.
Yeah, she killed it. Well, yeah, that was a good scene. That was a good scene. Gotta do what you gotta do to save your family.
Oh, man.
So what did you guys think? Carlos, Rich, what do you think of this whole thing of Maggie coming back this way with Ninja Boy?
Well, it's kind of similar to what I said earlier, that it just seemed to come out of nowhere. I mean, it's a pleasant surprise because I actually like Maggie as a character, and plus, the Hilltop needed a leader. I mean, there's no more Hilltop, but the original leader finally came back. So yeah, I mean, you call him Ninja, I call him Kratos. That dude was like Kratos. I want to know his backstory. I want to know where the hell he's been. Why hasn't he shown up in the previous seasons? Why is he showing up to he's only gonna have? We're only gonna get one season of this Ninja Kratos dude, and I'm like, man, I want to see more. I want a spin-off. I want a movie. I want books. Damn. I want comics from this dude. I want a video game.
I'm fully on board with that. With you on that. Let me just throw in this point real quick. To answer your question, Adam. I personally think this scene would have been more meaningful if we didn't even see Maggie until that point.
Yeah, that's another part. That would have been perfect if we didn't see that part where she was looking at the map. But I guess they had to show that she knew where she was going. For a reason. Yeah. So.
Who left the note? Oh, I'm sorry. I have to interject, though. Who left the note? The one that said Jesus is dead? Like, that one.
The showrunners. I don't know. They're doing that type of thing. They're like, all right, we're going to do some method acting, right? You're going to find this note, read it. Did you see Blair Witch, the original? Yeah, like that. React to the note.
Well, that's a great question. I mean, I assume maybe it has happened in a previous episode and we missed that detail, but the whole thing with Maggie seeing, where she's going, I would have had that particular scene like for the last episode, the previous episode, or at another point in the season, because again, when you see that moment where, we see that Gabriel looks like he about to get killed.
They were about to put him down.
It's like you have to. You have to assume. Well, he's probably going to get saved, but it would have been more meaningful if we didn't see her before then, and then all of a sudden, it's like, oh, this is awesome. She's back now. That's great. Yeah. But no, it took away from it for me personally. But
I found that scene to be incredibly funny, and not funny. I meant corny.
Yeah.
Because it was so heavy-handed with, oh my God, they're gonna kill off the black guy.
Oh damn! A priest.
And the blind priest black guy with one eye. This is really cold-blooded. And even that scene that he had was he the one with the girl? Yes, the scene he had with the girl. Yeah. And then also on top of that, remember you had Negan with the girl. So it was so heavy-handed with like, someone's gonna die and prepare yourself for emotions. And yes, I did in that moment expect him to die, because that's kind of what happens to black people in these situations.
But also in this whole part, he was gone in the comics. So
well then, so I guess those who read the comics was like, oh, he's finally gonna go this way then. So, but it was the thing is, overall, it was really like heavy-handed, and I do understand what you're saying about the fact of not seeing Carol, so that way it doesn't ruin the surprise.
Oh, Maggie.
But Maggie. But I kind of felt that Maggie had to be in the front in order to guide the rest of the crew in Black Noir, because Black Noir, to me, he looked like he was just killing everybody. If
he looked like he was about to put an end to him too. He was like, "Yo, I'm clearing this room. Everyone goes." Didn't matter if they were holding him down. He's my enemy also. Everybody goes.
So my thing is, I don't know where he comes from, but I wonder if Carol is the only one who can control him.
Oh, Maggie.
I'm sorry, I keep saying Carol. But I felt that I don't know if Maggie is the only one who can control him.
No, we'll find out. I'm sure there'll be more to that.
And that is how they will get you to watch the fight.
Then also, yeah, that's true.
So stay tuned for the next episode.
There you go. But speaking of stay tuned, the scene after this is probably the most defining moment, and probably the most talked about moment of this episode. And this is a scene where you see Beta, and Beta's just walking around doing the zombie thing, looking for some of the other members of the group. And then you see Negan, because you can recognize he's wearing a mask, he has his jacket on, and he says, "Hey, shithead." And man, Beta loses it. Sees him, he just breaks out of the whole slow walk and rushes him. They just start brawling it out. Big fight breaks out. But this is it. Rich, what happens? What happens to Beta here?
Well, I want you to go back to Dana, because I think Dana was about to say something else.
Oh, Dana, you were going to say something? Because this is a big scene. I want somebody that's going to put some oomph on this. This is a big scene. Dana,
let's go with Dana first.
Dana.
Whoa, all the pressure on me.
Yeah, all the pressure. This fight breaks out. And what happens to Beta?
I didn't see this coming at all. I did not see any of this coming.
No one did.
We're watching.
There you go. Yeah, pun intended.
Right. So here's the thing that I didn't. When I'm watching the scene, right, and they start fighting, my thing is that makes a sound. I mean, they're grunting and screaming and yelling at each other. So I was expecting for the herd to come and just kind of take them both out.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I've preferred.
And I thought that part, sort of that, I was on that same path. I was like, he's making a lot of noise. He's on top at this point. Negan's on the bottom. He's just pounding on him, the whole big thing. And that, just like you said, I'm thinking, oh, they're going to go after him first because he's on top. But then again, he smells like fucking zombie shit. He's got all the guts and stuff on him. So they probably wouldn't, for both of them, because I think Negan was also covered in that. But keep going.
But even if you would say, oh, he smells like the blood and the guts thing, they would have at least attacked Negan, because you see, as a zombie, you see another zombie attacking somebody who is alive. So I would have just thought it would have been a free-for-all. I thought that the fight itself was very good, well choreographed. It was brutal, but I felt it was too short.
It was very short.
For me, it kind of was similar to, like, if you ever watched The Wire and you kind of expected this big drawn out thing with Omar, and instead, Omar got caught by a 5-year-old in buying candy.
Yeah,
so it was kind of like jarring a bit that. I did not like that, but at the very same time, I guess I can kind of appreciate it, because you're in this environment where you never know when and how you're going to die, and sometimes it just may be very quickly. The whole thing, he did say, what was it? I forgot the final words. The woman whose head was decapitated, and she was like, in the previous episode. I am completely losing names.
Alpha.
Yes.
Alpha.
No, was that Alpha? No, the woman.
The woman, the leader of the group, of the Whisperers. Yes. Yeah, Alpha.
Okay. So he was like, this is for Alpha, and that whole situation. But it just felt that it was kind of too clean and too choreographed, in the sense that you aimed directly in the path of both eyes, and it did that weird little cross thing.
It was in the both eyes.
It was too perfect and just too clean. Also, another thing that I didn't quite understand, Beta has the ability to kind of talk to the other Whisperers, and I thought he was going to kind of call them over, and that didn't happen either. So, it was good.
So he sticks it to the blades in Beta's eyes. Beta looks up, and he pulls these things out. First
it was like a Jesus moment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the part that I didn't. I was like, all right, I get it, but if you get stabbed in both eyes, you're gonna collapse, right? I don't care how badass you are. You're gonna
I've never.
scream. You're gonna scream holy hell, and you're gonna collapse.
But the thing you can also say is that he was already expecting his death and he accepted it. And that maybe when the adrenaline is rushing through, you hear those weird things where like, oh, he got stabbed in the head with an axe and just pulled it out and he walked to the hospital. So maybe it was the adrenaline itself and the fact that he accepted that he was going to die and he accepted death itself, where he just had the strength to pull it out. Because after pulling it out, he kind of did that whole he
had the flashbacks.
Jesus.
Yeah, he had the flashbacks with Alpha and all that stuff, and this is the part, and
then he just allowed himself to be consumed by.
That goes to the point that we were talking about where these zombies would attack. For some reason, they found that point. Maybe the smell of the fresh blood because of his eyes and the whole thing.
But Negan got stabbed as well. Wasn't he also stabbed? So that would create blood. No,
I don't remember if he's dead. A lot was going on. I didn't really see it. I saw a lot of fighting.
Only slight, a little, cut. No?
Yeah, he got a little bit, but it wasn't nothing serious because then Daryl came over and he stood up with him. He picked him up, and this is. But before we jump into that, he has these flashbacks. Beta has these flashbacks to Alpha and the whole thing. He pulls those things out, and then as he's falling back, all the walkers, they're just eating him and stuff, and his mask starts ripping off, and they show his face.
Yep.
I don't recognize him, but Negan recognizes him, and he's like, "Whoa, you see who that is?" And then Daryl replies, "Yeah, nobody."
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, because why didn't they tell us who he was? Like, I guess it's a fictional celebrity in that universe. I was hoping that it would be a real celebrity that we would know. Like maybe it would be the actual actor. That we know as an actor. Like, they would also know, we know him from Sons of Anarchy. It's like, that's that actor. But we know he's a musician because we saw the poster in a few episodes before that. But still, it just, whatever. It's one of those things. At least they know. So even though we sort of were picking up on the nods that he was a musician, he's obviously someone famous. Alpha sort of hinted at it too when she saw his face. Like, So he was someone famous. And then something happened, it snapped, he had his buddy, and remember his mask that he was wearing was his buddy's face. So that was the whole thing. So something snapped in him, and he needed someone to follow, and then that's where Alpha filled in. She played Mama to him. It's that type of moment. And so for this to happen, for him to say that, I'm like, that burning feeling of like, well, who is he? But then again, I don't think it matters to us. Because we wouldn't know, because this isn't within that world. What do you think, Rich?
Well, yeah, it definitely wouldn't matter because he lost himself when he decided to make this turn and become Beta. He was no longer the same person he was before all this stuff happened. And the one comment I did want to add, I understand why he had the flashbacks, because if you ever heard the saying, your life flashes before your eyes, So yeah, I guess they literally and figuratively wanted to show us that. But it would have been good to show him how he was before this happened when they did the flashback. So then you would again see this is what the guy looked like before all that stuff happened.
Well, I'll tell you this much. This was a better ending for Beta than the comic book ending that they had. That one, it was very uneventful. When we were talking about uneventful, and you brought back the sad. I wish I had a little beer to spill for Omar, because that was horrible over in The Wire how he went out. that still bothers me. But in the comic, he sees two members of the group in the woods, and he approaches one and starts fighting with them, and then another one just shoots him with a shotgun and kills him. And then that was it. That's how it ended. It wasn't a big battle. It wasn't a main character that did it. And so to have it done this way, it was like, okay, this was a better approach to it. I enjoyed this ending for Beta.
And I tell you what, we will also give them bonus points because even though the encounter was short, the fact that they put Negan in that, because Negan and him had tension, we saw from other episodes. So I'm glad that final encounter with Negan was a part of the whole final battle between the both of them.
Yeah, because for a few seconds there, I thought it was going to be Lydia. Because that's one little part that I failed to mention in my notes. I just realized here. I put little notes here. Remember, Lydia walked by and she said Alpha. she like lured him to go into a different direction. I guess she was sort of like trying to get him away from the group that he was with. So this was like a whole little setup, but we didn't hear this setup. It didn't seem like she had this worked out with Negan, but she does that whole little thing, and then he looks over, and then that's when, hey, shithead, that whole thing occurs. But we get cut. Now it's daylight. All right, so I guess this happened all night. A lot of craziness. And then this is where we see Carol and Lydia. They've already had the whole thing with the horde. They're still walking toward this cliffside. This is the part I don't understand. Carlos, anybody, can you explain how this still happened if they didn't have the boombox?
Well, I mean, I guess the way I understood it is that Lydia, I mean, she got everything from Alpha. She knew how to command the horde.
She said, I know how to do this, because she told them, like, I know how to get them to go where they go. My mom showed me the whole thing. I did for the longest time. I was like, okay, but they cut that part. Like, we don't know how that happened, what she did. I guess it's similar to how Beta would do things, because I'm trying to remember if they ever showed Negan how it was done. I know in the comics they did, but it was like they would go into a group and then they would like sort of like nudge them, and then they would like make noises and nudge, and they would that would be enough to lure them. It was weird. It was a weird way to just like corral them in a certain direction.
Yeah, I don't think you should think too much about that one. I think it's just Lydia like just wrangled all these walkers. She was able to do it,
because I mean that's still a massive group. When they show that far shot, oh man,
yeah. But I guess that they had an advantage that all of them were concentrated in one area, so they didn't.
Mm-hmm. And then here's the other part they didn't really clear up, but I guess it's done. All the Whisperers are dead. That's it. That's the other part of this. They're all dead.
Well, because that's one of the parts, and I'm agreeing with Dana Sai, because it's like they got taken down so easily by a group that has no clue how to live, how to survive,
right?
How to fight with a horde of zombies.
How to engage, yeah.
Especially since all of the Whisperers, they were camouflaged. They were wearing masks. They were walking. They did the sounds exactly like the walkers did. The other people, part of the Daryl and Carol and all of them, they didn't have masks. So when you have a horde of zombies and you have a horde of people with makeup and look clean in their faces, you can tell them apart really easily. So
that was the part I didn't understand, and I guess that's where the TV show part of it. They're like, well, we have these actors, we can't cover their faces. We need to show their faces. We need to see the concern and the fear in their eyes. It's like, but that's not how it would be done. You would want to cover your face because like you just said, Carlos, there's Whisperers out to kill you, and if you're not covering your face, all they have to do is look and say, all right, yeah, I see a guy walking with a hood. Is that a zombie? No, it's not, because look, he just used some Purell all over his face. He's nice and clean. I'm gonna kill that motherfucker.
So I have a question, but I want Dana to go first. Then I'll ask my question.
No, I was just going to say that from an audience standpoint, that's where you kind of get more of the heightened tension. So I understand that in the world, it doesn't make any sense, but just as a watcher, that's how you're able to, my anxiety was at like 100 during this whole episode. So I thought that, as an audience member, they did a very good job with that.
All right.
So I definitely agree with that point. And now my question that I would ask you three is, would this would have been a more believable story to tell if a more important character died in the process of trying to get free from this herd? Because you remember that scene towards the end when they were leading them to the cliff. You thought that Carol...
Oh, wait, we're getting there.
Okay.
Because I'll get there right now. Right, so right before that happens, we see this herd, and they're heading toward the side of the cliff, but somebody needs to stand in front. Lydia is like, all right, I'm going to do this. And Carol just grabs her and is like, no, I'm going to finish this. And because the whole idea is that if you stand on the cliffside, they're going to follow you, but then that means they're going to push you over as well. So that person is going to die. So that hints at what you were getting at, Rich. That this is your main character that's going to die. Carol is going to die this episode. This is it. We're saying goodbye. But you know who spoiled this?
AMC.
AMC fucking spoiled this when they announced that Daryl and Carol are getting spin-offs. Unless they're flashbacks or before all this, and nobody wants to see her as a housewife getting beat up by her husband. Because that remember if they went back, that's what it would be. Remember, because when we first introduced her, that's how she was. She was an abused housewife. So we know that it's not going to be a prequel. So once she went in the front, I'm like, well, she's either going to hold on to the side or something's going to happen. She's not going over. What did you think, Dana?
First of all, I hated this entire ending part. I didn't like it at all, and also the fact that AMC spoiled this already. You kind of knew where this was going, that she wasn't going to die, or there could have been a whole Rick Grimes situation, because remember, he's getting his own movie.
Yeah.
And he's
also, what
dead.
Did you think? You think he was going to show with a helicopter over the cliff and throw a rope and like, pick it up, Carol, grab the rope.
I also also, couldn't she just quickly dart to like the side and hide in between the rocks?
Die. I think that was the thing. She felt bad for everything that she's done, and then we'll get into it with another character that makes an appearance.
It was so.
But she felt guilty. She felt guilty about a lot of things in her life. Every child that she's ever taken care of has passed away. Something horrible. So this is something that she just felt she had to do.
I would have been fine with her dying, but AMC, you suck.
Well, as we just gave away, she does not die. Lydia grabs her hand and pulls her alongside to safety, and then you just start seeing the horde just spilling over. They just blindly.
And even the fact that the cliff thing was corny.
Yeah, the cliff thing. Yeah,
like visually, it's like, oh, it's really pretty. Everyone's falling off a cliff, but just watching it, it was like, that's it.
Yeah, they do another embrace. They're crying. They're hugging. This is it, a bonding moment. They're happy together.
Well, then she'll die because everyone she'd bond with dies.
They see. Well, that's it. But here's the thing. The walkers fall over, and it looks like they're falling over into like a ravine or something that's below there. But they're not going to die. So they're just going to float downstream and terrorize another group.
because they're just contaminating the water supply.
That's it. And we'll get into it when we cover Fear. Because in Fear, there was one season where they went to a lighthouse. And if you remember, there was a fence along the side of the beach. I'm like, why do you have a fence for the beach? And I was like, because the walkers. And you would see people just walking out. Walkers just walking out of the ocean. And then they would just stab them through the fence. So this is how that happened. They all fell off the cliff. They get washed down, and then they just float all the way over to an island, and then they just start walking again.
Oh, well, we are getting that anthology that takes place in different parts of America. So that could, have some connection.
There we go. All right, so let's see. Where are we now? I think this is toward the end. Oh, is this the part with Connie? Trying to remember if this is the part. This is the part where Connie, right? So then,
yes.
All right, Carlos, you can bring this up because you caught this quick. I didn't catch this.
Yeah, we saw someone, getting up from the rubble, the ashes. I don't know what to call it, but a person emerged and was covered in dirt, and I'm like, well, who's this? And then she started looking. I'm like, oh, it's Connie. She's alive. I'm not surprised. She's Daryl's love interest. She has to be alive. So we saw her, the last time we saw her, she was, caught in the explosion with who was she with in the explosion? Was it Magna?
Yeah.
Magna died.
Caught in the...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Magna was there. Yeah.
Then it was ash. She was covered in ash.
Yeah, she was covered in ash. And her and Connie, and because Carol, speaking of Carol, she blew it, literally and figuratively, she blew it in the cave.
Mm-hmm. And that's why she wanted to kill herself. She felt bad because that was the other thing. She had a little moment with Daryl. Remember, it was like, "Do you love me?" It was like, it was Daryl that said that. Do you still love me? And that was another. I think that was sort of fan service because everybody's always wanted them to get together, and I'm sure some people took that the wrong way. They're like, "Oh shit, they're gonna go at it now." No, they give it another little hug and they just move on. But all right, so keep going.
Yeah, so we saw her. She's alive, and we're like, great. And actually, I really like her character. So I'm kind of glad that she's still alive, even though I expected it.
Yeah, right. Did anybody think she was dead?
Yes.
You did? You really think that this is the way they were going to kill her off? Because they showed that she was finding a way out. She found another route. She didn't just stay there. It looked like she found a way, but then, of course, everything closes up. So
Look, Dana, let's just be real here. Daryl already lost the first love interest in his life, Rick Grimes. He
Right.
can't lose two in consecutive seasons.
Can't do it.
So it was inevitable to keep her alive. We got to keep Norman Reedus happy. He's a money maker here.
The money maker.
Love hurts. People die though.
That's true. People die. There's no coming back unless you come back as a walker in a flashback. All right.
But yeah, she popped up. She was struggling to walk, so she fell down. There's a horse coming in with a rider. There wasn't much shock to who this person was because we saw him at the beginning of the episode, and that was what's his name? Vince
Virgil.
Virgil.
Oh, Virgil.
Yeah.
Virgil from from the Michonne Adventures in that island, in Crazy Island.
Yeah, they could have just
Shutter
killed him
Island.
off. They could have just killed him, but they did not because Michonne was like, "Nah, I'm not going
Michonne
to go
is
there."
merciful.
Yeah,
Michonne's merciful, and
which
she doesn't
also
wanna...
made no sense because he locked her up in a cage with the other people. Remember the other crew were like, "We've been here for weeks." That's horrible. Fucking horrible.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
I'm guessing he's gonna redeem himself. It's crazy. Virgil is having a sort of oh my god, I'm forgetting his name.
Morgan,
yeah, exactly.
Morgan moment.
It's a Morgan moment. So he's gonna go through his revenge tour and might get a spinoff because of it.
Okay, who knows? That could be. All right, and so the last main scene.
Oh, sorry. Before you continue, I'm making jokes about the love interest between Daryl and her, but it's real, and we know that Daryl and Carol are gonna have their own spin-off. I wonder where she's gonna be involved with this.
Now is that Now, Dana, you brought up some of it. Are they together or is it two separate?
From my understanding, they are together because they keep saying Daryl and Carol spinoff, and not spinoffs.
All right, so it's a singular. Okay, so they're gonna have their own. Yeah, that could be. Who knows? Anything is possible. But then I guess Connie's out of luck. There goes that. All right, so then the last scene. But then again, this one sort of does like a weird time jump. It's later in that day because when we saw all the walkers going over the cliffside, it's daytime. When we now cut to Eugene, Ezekiel, Yumika, and Princess, it's night. And they're over at the shipyard. This was the meeting ground where Eugene was going to meet his contact, who was part of the other group. There's no one there. He's already thinking that they missed their chance and everything is for naught. They're done. And what was the comment that he said something and Princess was like, "Oh, you must be really horny," or something like that because he said something about the girl and they all chuckled. But all of a sudden, big floodlights kick in. You see all these troopers with their guns running out. Put down your weapons, screaming in the whole thing. They drop their weapons, and there you go. That's the end of the episode. That is the season finale. What did you guys think of?
Oh, go ahead, Dana.
Oh, I was gonna just say I was distracted by the costuming on the people who arrested them. It was a cross between Stormtrooper and Tron.
But it is identical to what they wore in the comics. That was the same thing. In the comics, it looked like dirt bike suits. Like it was like they were wearing like those dirt bike vests and helmets and stuff like that. But,
it looked like it was powered by electricity. Like they could just zap you.
They could zap you, right? Yeah. No,
did they have any kind of like special technology in the comics?
No.
That's what it looked like. It looked futuristic.
Yeah, it will. Unless they add that, it's always a possibility. But no.
What are they, zombie proof?
No, not zombie proof either. That was it. They just have suits on. They're fully covered, so that way, if a walker tries to bite them, they're protected.
So they're zombie proof.
In a way, zombie bite proof. Because think about it, a zombie, their teeth are rotted, so it's not like it's gonna really penetrate like a shark bite. Their teeth and stuff are just like rot away. If it's just going against the flesh, yeah, it can rip the skin, and that's enough. But if you put on some tough leather or some Kevlar,
don't underestimate the power of a walker, man.
Power of the walkers. All right, and then that was it. That was the season finale. And for those who don't know, this is it. That's the Commonwealth. Everything we saw, the end of beta, there is no coming back. The Whispers, the story with the Whispers, it's done. There is nobody who comes up in line. We're not going to see any rise up. It is finished. This is it. And if you don't know, AMC already had announced that season 11 will be the final season for The Walking Dead. What they said, 20 episodes, right?
30.
30 episodes. 30. See,
30.
no, if that's 30, that's 2 seasons right there. Why
This
are they
is how
doing
it breaks.
this? Why did they do that?
Well, why were they creating 18 more shows? Money.
No, I understand it, but I mean, why not break it off into season 11 and 12 with 30 episodes? I thought it was
because
20.
I think COVID. It just ridiculously ruined everything.
Yeah, I guess.
Maybe.
Yeah, because I mean because also, if I remember right, the way they described the dates, they said it's season 11 is the last one. As you said, there's 30 episodes, but it's supposed to take place from 2021 to 2022.
Okay, here's the thing. We're getting 6 extra episodes that will air in 2021. Then in October of 2021, we have the season 11.
So
okay.
Wait. So this is not the season finale?
It is, but it's not. It's like, hey, bonus round because everything got screwed.
Oh. All right, now this is complicated.
So season what we saw was the finale. It was the premiere of season 10 finale, and the extra episodes is kind of like a bridge to season 11.
Oh,
So what we did see was the intended ending with the whole stormtroopers.
Okay. Yeah.
But what they wasn't able to finish, like there were storylines that didn't fully wrap up, and then you guys, how I was saying, it just didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And random conversations, those will be included in the bonus 6 episodes. So it's kind of like if you've seen the DVD version, and you know how there's like you have the regular movie version, and then you have like the director's cut.
Mm-hmm. So
those, sorry.
Are these going to be continued? So, for example, like the season 10, this is episode 16. Are those going to be 17, 18, 19? Is it going to go with that, or are they just cutting it and saying this is going to be the beginning of season 11 with those?
No.
No.
It's season 10. It's what they intended to film in season 10, but couldn't get around to. But it's not going to kind of make it seem like it's season 11. It's still everything's contained in season 10.
Oh boy. All right, we'll have to see, and that's coming next year. So, Rich.
I have a quick question for you, Adam. So now that the herd, Alpha and Beta are gone, what is the next adversaries that our heroes are supposed to face?
The next adversary is, I guess, here's a little spoiler, but then again, I can't really say too much to spoil because this content's out there. People really care. The source material is there. The comic is there. It's the governor. Yeah. It's the governor of the Commonwealth. So there is another governor situation. I remember when I first started reading, I sort of rolled my eyes. Another governor. We're going down this road again. And it's the same type of deal. The governor thinks that the person is doing right by the people and the whole thing, but really they're corrupt, It's a lot of that, but it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Because in the comic, Rick is alive. Michonne is the one that interacts with the Commonwealth. I don't know if it's going to be much of a spoiler because we know... is it confirmed? I don't know if anyone here knows if it's confirmed. If Michonne's coming back for the final season?
I don't think that's confirmed.
It hasn't been confirmed. Because remember, if we saw her last scene...
Think about it. They have to come back.
They have to,
It's the finale.
It's finale.
I just, Well,
Norman Reedus hinted that Rick was coming back for the finale also.
Yeah, but they did say Michonne is going to be a part of the Rick movies.
Yeah. So the only reason why I bring that up because she in the comic it was Princess, it was Ezekiel was already dead at this point. It was Princess Michonne, it was another member of the group, and what happened is Michonne then finds her daughter, and a lot of people forgot she had a daughter, and she finds that her daughter is alive and she's living there in the Commonwealth. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that happens there, and Rick gets involved. It's very heavy with Rick and Michonne, the whole final season of the comics, and it's going to be interesting to see how they portray that in the series, because both of those characters are not in it. They're not in this. But Ezekiel is. And Ezekiel, I think, is going to replace the Rick character because he is an authority figure. He ran the kingdom. That was his thing. And I think that he will be playing the part of Rick. If people are like, oh, who's going to fill in with that? How is this going to work? And the same thing with Yumika, because Yumika, if you remember, her profession was a lawyer. That was Michonne's profession. She was a lawyer. That comes into play with the Commonwealth, because that is a key part of how they keep that society running. Whatever you did in your past life, which is what our present, what we have. If you were a lawyer then, you're a lawyer now. If you were a cook then, you're a cook now. So that plays a big part. So that's why it made sense when she joined. Because I was like, when she joined that little party group, I was like, why is Yumika going on this adventure? Oh, wait a minute. She's a lawyer. So it's because she's a lawyer. That's why they're bringing her on this mission. That comes into play. I think.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think so. Those are the two that I think are going to carry on the story to replace the Michonne and the Rick. But I still think, like you guys said, I think Rick and Michonne, they have to show up, right? Come on now, you don't start a show and then walk away like 2 seasons or a season before the end and not come back when it's officially done. You don't do that. I mean, I wouldn't. Unless they come in the flashback.
Especially for these characters that weren't written off, they weren't killed, they were sidelined because they were doing other things. So it makes sense to bring them back, even if it's just for the finale, like do a Maggie situation with this, and just bring them back maybe the last couple of episodes, maybe the last 2 or 3. And just end it there, and then Michonne and Rick can be on their merry journey.
Yeah. There's a bunch of cool things that could happen here, and this is really open-ended, and that's why I'm really excited for this final season. Because some people are like, oh, well, it's just in the comics. It's like, no. Besides the characters, there was a big time jump. There's a lot that happened in that final season of the comics that I just want to see how they play it out, and I think a lot of it's going to be different. But also, I'm thinking maybe Michonne is already there, because if you remember when we did see her in her last scene a few episodes back, they show her approaching. It was like a caravan of wagons. Remember that? There was like a whole caravan of wagons. They show her approaching because she was bringing the injured people or the injured guy. The caravan of wagons, the Commonwealth, that's how they travel. They have a caravan. They travel in groups just in case, they get attacked. And they also send out groups of soldiers to go and clear the area and stuff. So I'm just putting 2 and 2 together that maybe that is the group that's another group from the Commonwealth. She approaches them, and maybe they will. That's the other way. They could play the whole thing out still, that she is already there and she's with the daughter and the whole thing. Or maybe they just hinted that just in case Michonne does decide to come back. Because remember, when she left, there was no COVID. There was no talk of this ending. I remember they had talked about at least 12 seasons, right? That's what I remember them saying. They said 12 seasons. The 12th season will be the last one. That's the plan. But now it's been cut to 11. So, and then also she was doing other things. She was doing Broadway. She had a few other stuff. So maybe some of those things got sidetracked where she could
Black Panther.
Well, there you go. Black Panther, I think, also got sidetracked due to some horrible tragedies that's hit that franchise there. So anything's possible. All I know is that I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to see where they go from here and seeing the adventure end for this crew. Because I also feel that, yes, the Carol and Daryl spinoff, I don't think it's just going to be them two, though. There's got to be some other members of the cast that they bring aboard, right? You think it's just going to be Daryl and Carol and that's it?
Maybe at first. I mean, they announced a lot of shows. They got the anthology. You got the kids. You got Daryl and Carol. You
got the movie.
You got the 2. What is it? The 3 movies.
Yeah. Well,
so
yeah.
Does everyone need a spinoff?
I don't know, but we're gonna cover it. So that's the plan. So thanks everybody for listening to the first episode of the I Am Negan, the TWD Universe podcast. We are on iTunes, we're on Spotify, a few other places. We're gonna get this show on the road. Got some cool art that's coming. Thanks to Emilio Lopez, also from the Throwdown, also from a bunch of comics and DC and Marvel and video games. You've seen his work. He's out there. You can find him. So he's putting a nice piece of art for the show. So we're looking forward to that. And then that's it. We will see you with the next episode, which will be covering World Beyond, which is the new spinoff. We're not going to say the last spinoff or even the current spinoff, because I mean, it's just we still
The
have
first
fear.
spinoff.
No, it's not the fear. It's not even
Oh,
the
the
first.
second-
That's
the
what I'm
second
saying,
spinoff.
because we have fear. We still have fear,
That's right.
and that comes back on the 11th, and that's still going. So we'll be able to cover that. So, but the next one will be the World Beyond. So again, thanks for listening. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for joining us. And anybody have anything you want to say?
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Thanks. All right, thanks.
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks.
Hopefully, hopefully the next season can come pretty soon.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. That is it. All right, everybody. See you later. Peace.